And we are live. Y'all, let me apologize. Marilyn is here. Yay. Hey Marilyn. Guys, let me apologize. It is now 4 o'clock, so we're an hour behind. I was almost to the end of the show and realized I had not pressed the live button. So I am sorry to be late. I hope I didn't miss who had intended to be here with us, but we're here now. We're gonna go with it. Things happen, right?
Yep.
So it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and mom's mental health matters, right? Navigating mental health as a mom. Um, and this is a mental health discussion. So, big up yourself, original kings and queens, and welcome to another episode of the Big Up Yourself show, where we share our stories and use those stories to shed light on various topics to inspire, uplift, and heal each other. It's Mother's Day 2024, and this is our Mother's Day gift to you, the gift of you in motherhood. So, whether you're a mom, daughter, or aunt, or foster parent, or just an observer or supporter of moms, there's space here for you. We see you here at the Big Up Yourself show. Please consider subscribing to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. There's something here for everyone on this show. And then please like the video. Just press that the thumbs up icon and drop a comment. Please just say wow, if nothing else. If you just want to help us, just say wow or drop a heart or something. And what that does is your comment triggers the algorithm to recommend the channel to others who might need it. So you're really helping us out when you leave a comment, and I thank you. So, discussing mom's mental health on the Big Up Yourself show is important because we're addressing a significant yet often overlooked aspect of mental health, which is mother's mental health. Mothers often face unique challenges that can impact their mental well being, such as balancing work and family responsibilities, societal pressures, and the emotional demands of parenting. By discussing this topic, we hope to raise awareness, provide support, and offer valuable insights to mothers who may be struggling with their mental health. It also helps to break the stigma surrounding mental health issues. And we're still battling stigma surrounding mental health issues. So we're encouraging open and honest conversations about these important issues. Now, I am well aware that fathers feel parental stress too, right? And I'd love to have a show about that in the future. But in general, most of the day-to-day caring for children is left up to moms. So we're addressing mothers' mental health today. Now, true, I am not a mom, but I'm a daughter of one. I'm an aunt. I have friends who are mothers, and anyway, I'm a supporter and observer of mothers. And in my work as an advocate for adult survivors of childhood trauma, I can facilitate this discussion. But I am not alone. I am not alone. And with me is licensed family therapist Tori Prophet, LMFT PMHC. So Tori is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's also prenatal mental health certified, which means she specializes in the mental health of women from the time they become pregnant to 1 year after birth. And that's something that's new to me. I just learned about perinatal. How would I know? I'm not a mother. But let me read her bio. Tori is a psychotherapist and women's lifestyle strategist, helping high achieving mothers stuck in a cycle of overworking, overthinking, and people pleasing Go from feeling burnt out and unfulfilled to living with purpose, presence, and passion. Tori's books and online courses empower women to rediscover their inner strength and authenticity. Authenticity, one of my favorite words. Her holistic approach to well being combines neuropsychology, mindfulness, and self compassion to guide mothers on a journey of self discovery and transformation. Neuropsychology. Coming back to that, Tori is committed to helping women not only survive but thrive in the challenging terrain of modern motherhood. The challenging terrain of modern motherhood. And that should be a master class. And I would encourage you to write a book on the challenging terrain of modern motherhood. Modern motherhood is different, right? So welcome to the show, Tori. So glad you could be with us today. And I'm honored that you would take time to come and lend your expertise to this space. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Winsome, and I'm honored to get to spend my Mother's Day with you talking about this important topic.
Yes, yes, wonderful. Now, Tori, we're going to start the way that we usually do, right? And I'm going to ask you to tell me about your name, who named you, what does it mean, what was the story around your naming, and do you sit comfortably in the name Tori?
My mom named me. She completely invented my name as a way to kind of honor my dad and his name. So Tori is my nickname. My given name is La Tori, and my dad's name is Larry. So my mom wanted something that was kind of similar, but she also wanted to get creative with it. I haven't always sat comfortably in my name. I, that's the way it's spelled is unusual, and so a lot of people would mispronounce it,
Yes.
say other things. I did shorten it so that it would just be easier. But it's been a process to become more comfortable in my name, and because she invented it and doesn't have, a given meaning, I guess I've kind of taken it upon myself to give it its own meaning. It's as unique as I am. It's one way to look at it.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. And I love how creative mothers can get with names. And I love how she honored your father in making up your name. I think that's so brilliant that you can just get up in your imagination. I'm just going to make up a name. And
Yeah,
I'm going to take a little from the dad's name and put something on it and just make up a whole name. I love
yeah.
that. And then it fits you so well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's something that wasn't planned, right? But when I read this, it kind of stuck with me and I'm like fascinated. Neuropsychology. It
hmm
sounds so smart. I want to know, break it down for me, simplify neuropsychology.
Well, and I haven't always known that this is what I was interested in, but neuropsychology it studies how the brain relates to behavior, thinking, emotions, cognition. So neuro is the brain and psychology is just all that behavior stuff. You put them together and that's what you get. Yeah. The
I
the
like,
way the brain works. So I think what I was saying earlier was we often kind of shoo away emotion and think it's something silly or whatever. But when you understand how the brain creates emotion and why, right, and under what circumstances, you you give more credit to the brain than I guess you can to just emotion. So people pay attention when you say, well, these emotions come from the brain.
that's
So,
interesting because there is a therapist that I work with, and he focuses a lot on how the brain works with, just like you were saying, with behaviors. Like he's very much trying to explain to me what's happening in my brain
mhm,
as I indulge in certain behaviors. And I
mhm.
guess that's what neuropsychology is, and I
That's
just
right.
didn't know that that was um title for it. Therapy for Black Girls. Oh, is that your book? Therapy for Black Girls? Is that one of your books?
No, but that is a website where you can find therapists of color.
I
It's a
see,
directory
I
website.
see, I see. And you're listed on there.
Yeah.
I see, I see. Marilyn is on it, man. Marilyn
Thanks,
is on
Marilyn.
it. Wow. Yeah. So now we've come to another very important defining segment of this show where we allow guests to share a trauma or difficulty that they've overcome or are overcoming and share the lessons that they've learned from these experiences and how these experiences have led to where they are and what they're doing today. Is there a story that you're being nudged to share with us today?
Sure. It's Mother's Day, and so I always think about this at this time of year, and my daughter's birthday was last month. Our birth experience was really hard, and then also just the transition to being a new mom and the changing identity that came with that. That's really the story I want to share today. Should I just go into it?
How many children do you have?
I have five children. The oldest two are adults, and they're my stepchildren. And then
Mhm.
I have two biological children, and my youngest is adopted.
Oh, okay, so five. Oh, you adopted two. Hats off to you. Good for you. So yeah, what would you like to share with us today? Does it have to do with motherhood?
Yes. Yeah. So um, my oldest biological daughter, she's 19 now. So 19 years ago, our birth experience was just really more than stressful. Maybe even traumatic, I would say. It definitely was very hard for me. We labored a very long time. I had an idea of a very natural, holistic type of birth,
Yeah.
right? With no interventions, labored at a birth center, but eventually it was time for the baby to come out, and I had to be transferred. I didn't go in an ambulance, so I didn't have that experience, thankfully. But I had to go to the hospital for an urgent C-section, and that was just like it was crazy to me. One, I was exhausted from the labor experience,
The baby
and
didn't come at the birthing center like you had planned. The baby, it just
no,
wouldn't come.
no, she just wouldn't come. She's still kind of like that these days. She's still a little hesitant to start and try new things,
That's
but even
something.
then, she
Isn't
would
that
not come
something?
out.
Wow. That's interesting. So you
Yeah,
ended up
yeah.
at the hospital.
Yeah, ended up in the hospital with a C-section, which is a major surgery, and I wasn't prepared for that mentally to have a major surgery. I also was somewhat aware that the outcomes for Black women in hospitals was not really that good, particularly in my state. So there was some concern not only about how I'd be treated by the hospital, but also just, what that would be like.
Wow.
Um, Fortunately, we came out just fine. I didn't have any complications. The baby didn't have any complications. So I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, my whole world was turned upside down. And now I'm healing while taking care of a newborn. And that
And
was that was
so,
a really hard start.
how old were you at the time?
I was, how old was I? 27.
27.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
Now, that's something that had not entered my mind before. Um, that mothers can feel let down or disappointed when their birth plans don't go according to what they planned. And so now I'm thinking that mothers have a dream for how they want their birth experience to go.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't happen like that, it's a disappointment. And that's something that they have to heal from,
Sure.
something that they have to uh,
Sure.
work through.
Yeah, they have to process that.
Yeah,
And just like you never thought of that before, I had not thought of that before either.
yeah,
I had never heard anyone talk about having that experience. And
yeah.
so here I am on the other side of it, and I have this beautiful, healthy baby, and I'm not really happy. I'm grieving the loss of my expectations for the birth,
Wow.
right? Didn't know that could happen. And, there's this idea that, well, you should just be grateful. You're fine. The
Right,
baby's fine. You're home
right,
now. It's all okay. But no, you had this whole scary, unexpected experience. It wasn't, you know, so yeah, it was just really hard. And a lot of people didn't really understand that because we don't talk about that,
right. Yeah, because
you know?
I just never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so transitioning to motherhood with that experience behind me. So the transition to motherhood's already hard. And then coming into it with all of this stuff that I had to process through alone, because at
Alone.
the time I didn't realize I had my family, but at the time I didn't realize that there was postpartum depression or birth trauma. I didn't realize this had a name. I thought, yeah, I should just be happy too. And
Wow.
so then now I'm feeling bad for feeling bad.
Feeling bad to feeling bad. Couple of questions are coming up to my mind. One of them is back in the day, like long, 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 long time ago, did women back then suffer from postpartum as well? You
Mm.
think? You think they did? Or
I
is
am
there
sure
something
some
modern?
did. I'm sure some did. However, the environment around them would have been different, and perhaps it would have been dealt with, right? If you
Yeah.
think in terms of when women were having babies in communities of other women, and there are other cultures that still do this, where they care for the mother completely for 30 days or 40 days or whatever, and they take care of all of her responsibilities, and her only responsibility is to heal physically and to bond with the baby and feed the baby, right? So if you're thinking in terms of that kind of a structure, and a woman experiences some profound sadness, she has the support of her community. She has all this stuff off her plate. She can deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure women experienced it, but it was a different environment for them.
Different environment. Now, how was the birth of your other child?
My second birth was completely different. That's my daughter who is 14 now, and she was born at home on purpose.
Born at home on purpose. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
how did you come? First of all, what caused you to even think I want to give birth at home? And how did you go about arranging it?
Well, and that's what I wanted originally, except, we were in a small apartment at the time, and there just wasn't as much space as I would have wanted. And so that's why we did the birth center with the first birth. The second birth, we were in our home, we had more space. So I knew I wanted to, well, I wanted my redemption, to be honest. When some right, I wanted a do-over.
Wow.
And so
Wow,
I I
indeed.
found I found a wonderful midwife that would take me on, because a lot of people won't take you for a home birth if you've had a C-section. Um, so I
Really?
found a wonderful skilled midwife. I had a doula this time, which I didn't have the first time. I think that would have made a
Wow.
difference.
Girl, you take childbirth serious.
I found a wonderful, oh, and I'm still friends with my doula today. I found a wonderful doula, and I had other midwives there in support. Others came in and out. My husband was there. My parents took my older daughter to be with them, so she didn't have to, go through just all the sights and sounds and things. She was uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted something that was not a medical event. I wanted something that was just a family kind of event.
Wow.
I
Wow.
wanted to be with my people.
Wow. So look here, a couple of comments have come in. Donna O'Neill. Hey Donna, good to see you again, girl. She says, when I saw a C-section and a vaginal delivery as a nursing student, I couldn't see myself having a child. It was traumatic. Donna, I feel you, girl. I feel you. There is no way. Hats off to all of you who do it. There is no way that I could lay down and push a baby out of my body. I could not do it. I The whole idea of parenting was overwhelming for me. I
Yeah.
chose not to. Ever since I was like in a teenager, I hats off to you who do it. I'm not made for it. And now H&D Danica says, I'm a birth and postpartum doula.
Oh,
Now, who would choose to be something like that? That's just amazing to me. That's just amazing. You, that's a high calling to help women bring life into this world and nurture early life. That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, my doula and my midwife, I love them to this day, and all of them. It's amazing what they do.
So, Danica says home birth can be peaceful and healing. So, was
Hmm.
it that was it was like that for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. To get to be in my own bed
Yes.
and not have to go anywhere, not be rushed around, to get to eat when I needed to get to move around as I needed just to me, the way nature intended it to be. I had it dark and peaceful, and candles, and it was just beautiful.
Candles. Did you have an epidural? It was all natural?
It
You,
was all natural. Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah.
How?
Just a lot of preparation, education. I mean, I couldn't have done that by myself. I had to be educated through it, supported through it, given the time to labor and let my body do what it needed to do,
Wow.
not be rushed and under fluorescent lights. And,
Oh
it was
my
just
goodness.
she's right. It's peaceful. It was peaceful and healing for me.
Girl, I'm having palpitations just thinking about it. You guys are amazing. You mothers are amazing. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do
Well,
it.
and I couldn't fathom it before I did it either.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
So we're talking about mental health, mother's mental health. Does a woman's mental state during pregnancy affect the unborn, do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think so. If we're talking about high levels of stress on the unborn child, that could cause preterm labor, low birth weight, high blood pressure, right? Gestational diabetes. It could lead to miscarriage. If you have high levels of stress that cause you to abuse substances, then that's going to be a huge factor.
Speaking of abuse, babies who come out addicted. I was a foster parent. I couldn't be a parent, but I was a foster parent at one
That's
point in my life.
that's a high calling too. Absolutely.
Yeah. But one of my babies they said she was a crack baby. I don't like that term, but I don't know a better term to use right now.
Yeah, born addicted. Yeah.
Born addicted.
Hmm.
How is that? How is that possible? That a child is born addicted to a substance that the mother uses. My brain can't fathom it. Fathom
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, just whatever the mother is eating and ingesting gets passed on to the baby. So I mentioned my youngest is adopted. We adopted her from foster care, and so that was one of the things that they prepared us for, was that might be the case, and then she will be in withdrawal when she's born. She
Wow.
wasn't, fortunately for her, that was not the case, but we had to prepare for that possibility.
Wow. Danica says, when you trust your body and your birth team, it is transformational. Working with your birth hormones, high oxytocin, low cortisol. she getting all scientific.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
knows some stuff. She
Yeah.
knows some stuff as a mother and as a doula and a birthing coach. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a woman's mental health can affect the child in womb. I remember one
Mhm.
guest I had on the show here, she was telling me that she thought in the womb that she sensed or experienced her mother's depression, and that she feels like she was born depressed,
I've
right?
heard of that too. I've heard of that
Mhm,
too. I've heard of
mhm.
a professor in graduate school was always very anxious in her life, and then when she learned the story of her birth and her mother's anxiety and um, just a lot of domestic violence that her
Oh,
mother had experienced, it made sense.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, let's talk about how a mother's mental health affects young children all
Hmm.
the way through adolescence and all the way through adulthood.
Okay.
How does mother's mental health affect a child all the way through adulthood?
Well, so let's think of the baby first,
Yeah,
and that important time where bonding is taking place, right?
yeah.
They're bonding with each other. The baby's attachment is forming, right? The attachment to the mom, learning whether or not they can trust this person to take care of their needs, right? And so if mom is too depressed to care for the baby, that's going to affect the bonding. Or if mom is too anxious and constantly checking on the baby, right? That will have an impact one way or another. Um, you think about an older child. If a parent is too depressed or anxious, they may not be able to respond to that child's emotional needs. They may not be up on all the things that are going on, maybe with the kid at school,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the kid having problems with their friends. They're just not going to be able to pay attention and tend to those things as much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, if we bring in substance use or other ways that they're coping, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to affect the relationship that might leave the child in danger of harm by someone else, right?
Right.
If a parent is too stressed and too anxious, too irritable, too angry, and maybe there's that risk of abuse,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know.
Right. And I imagine too, as you grow into adulthood, um, if you're neglected as a child or abused as a child, whether intentionally or not, um, as you become an adult, these are things, traumas that you have to work through and process
Yeah.
as an
Mhm.
adult. And so that can affect the way that you approach life, the way that you
Mhm.
go through life, the way that you relate to yourself and to others. And it can just affect just about everything in your life.
Yeah.
Dr. Charles Whitfield, author of Healing the Child Within, says a lot of mental illness could have been avoided if children were not abused or neglected by unstable parents.
Mhm.
So, a lot of our own mental struggles were as a result of our parents' mental struggles,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, because maybe they weren't able to support us the way that we needed to be supported. And so, therefore, we are. Let's see. H&D says total impacts attachment style. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. Um, So, children born to unstable parents suffer needless traumas that they have to navigate and heal from as adults, which I imagine robs them of things like self-esteem and time, right? Because you spend all this time trying to heal from stuff
Yeah.
that, oh, would have been better if you didn't
Yeah.
have these things to work through. And so they struggle as adults, and then they have to hear things like, the past is the past. You can't
Hmm.
blame your parents anymore. It's your life now. Well, that's all well and good, but the problems began with the parents, right?
Hmm.
Who were unwell. So I think it would behoove parents to take care of their mental health so that they don't damage their children, as best as they can, anyway, or at least try and not ignore the problems. I heard
Absolutely.
a young man ranting on social media. I don't owe my adult child nothing. He better get his expletive off and go do what he need to do, because um I don't owe you nothing. It's your life now. And he was carrying on and carrying on. And I'm like, that's the reason right there. That's the
Exactly.
problem right there. That's
Exactly.
why your child can't find his way in life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The parent sets the blueprint,
The,
right? And I'm glad I have this book here because I highly recommend it for, anyone who um, wants to do better, right? Than
yeah.
their parents did for them. They can break the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It takes intention, it takes work, but it can be done with a therapist or start with the book. I mean, that's a place you can start. There's no excuses anymore to just let it continue.
Yeah. No excuses anymore. Hey, Mimi. Child free with Mimi joined in.
There's
That's it.
Mimi.
Child free with Mimi joined in.
Hi,
Child
Mimi.
is child free, and I'm child free. And here we are in this conversation. By the
Absolutely.
way, the books, I think the books that we all should read, all of us should read these books, um, by Dr. Charles Whitfield. One of them is Healing the Child Within. The other one is The Truth About Depression. The other one is Boundaries. And the other one is Codependence. Now, I've become a harsh critique of books because I believe that most books are just full of fluff. But these are some books that I truly can say are really helpful. Dr. Charles Whitfield, check out his books. Okay, so is there a way to know before you have children if you're going to have postpartum depression, or if you're going to be a stress ridden mom prone to depression as a parent? Is there a way to know this beforehand?
Well, I'll address two things, the stress and the postpartum depression. I'll address those two separately. So stress, if you're having a hard time coping with stress before you have kids, well, just wait till they get here. It's going to be
Woo,
harder.
woo,
Right. So if you have poor coping skills beforehand, you need to get you some.
woo. Before you have some children.
I mean, it'd be nice. But with postpartum depression, we have a list here of risk factors. And I think I wrote it out because I think it's important for anyone hearing this to know these different risk factors so that they can be on the lookout. So I can go through some quick and then we can come back and reiterate a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
So a previous history of any mental health condition, depression, anxiety, OCD, eating disorders, bipolar. If you've had that previously, then you have an increased risk of having postpartum depression. If you have a history of childhood sexual abuse, you have an increased risk of postpartum depression. I mean, it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those are traumatic, and having a baby opens up the floodgates of the trauma. It's a great opportunity to enter into healing, to start addressing some of these things, but it's a hard road for a lot of people.
Yes.
Also, if women have had really big mood reactions in their life to like puberty, um, If they have really big mood reactions when they have PMS, or if they have a premenstrual dysphoric disorder, they might struggle when they're pregnant. If they've had a really big reaction to hormonal birth control, those things might signal that there will be some trouble later on. And and there's a whole bunch more that we could go into at any other time.
Wow.
If it's had a loss, a miscarriage, a termination, if they've experienced the death of a parent, especially their mom, that comes up a lot.
Who's thinking about, right, before they have a child? Who's thinking about, I have some of these risk factors and maybe I shouldn't have a child, or maybe I'm going to need extra support to be able to be an effective parent? Is anybody thinking ahead of time? Are people thinking about these things when they're getting pregnant or thinking about becoming parents?
You
Because,
know, I mean, I don't know how many people are really living intentional lives versus just being on the rat race, the
yeah,
hamster wheel. I have
yeah,
some clients that are single and young, and they want to talk about this stuff and they want to be prepared. I have some people that do that, but I mean, a lot of us, I don't know that I fully prepared myself for motherhood either.
yeah,
I am glad that I had a good toolbox of skills already, and I had gone to graduate school and learned some extras.
yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think a lot of people are very surprised when this happens to them.
Wow. I wish more people would give more thought to preparing better for parenting. Because I mean, the condition of things out here, the condition of most people out here is like it doesn't it doesn't seem well for parenthood. You know what I mean? I feel like
Mm,
there should be less people having children. The way that the way that the children are turning out, the quality of the adults that we have to deal with. I don't know. Listen, listen. Donna says, is postpartum depression a realization of the overwhelming responsibility of motherhood that women realize they're not prepared for? That's a good question.
mm, mm.
Which goes back to my point.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there a way? I would like to be, I wish I had some authority or some influence to just have women think, or women and men think a little longer before they go and have children.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say I think a lot of women who are experiencing postpartum depression do feel overwhelmed. Um, but one of the major factors is feeling that hopelessness
Yeah.
and the helplessness, the intense sadness and despair. That is a completely different experience than maybe what we'd say normal motherhood, where yeah, I'm overwhelmed today.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out how to manage things differently so that I don't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a difference there.
How is postpartum treated? And I hear, how is it treated? I hear Danica say you are postpartum for the rest of your life. I didn't know that either. I'm not sure I understand what that even means. You are postpartum. Is that what the word postpartum means?
I think technically, when we use postpartum in this space, we mean the first 12 months after birth. Um,
Okay.
I will say that a lot of women don't realize that they have had postpartum depression. So I get some women that come in, their child is 2, 3, 4. And so by that time, they're dealing with what we'd say is depression or anxiety. But that first year after birth, we would have called it postpartum depression or anxiety. Does that
Oh,
make sense?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just really referring to the period of time that the distress is experienced. If it doesn't get treated and it prolongs, then we would give a different diagnosis for that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be postpartum anymore.
So, For postpartum, do they use medication for postpartum? Is that an option?
Sure, there are lots of different options for treatments. There are medications, so there's antidepressants, there's mood stabilizers, there are anti-anxiety medications, there's even some um, hormonal medications, there's some
Mhm.
infusions.
Oh,
The most evidence-based treatment that I'm aware of is a combination of therapy and medication.
yeah.
Because I mean, there's a lot to unpack. And so a lot of women who think I'll just do the medication um, come to me later when they wanted to get off the medication and then all the symptoms came back because, well, the medication alleviated those feelings, but they didn't have the chance to learn the skills and tools that they needed. They also didn't get a chance to process through the trauma that a lot of women have been through a lot of trauma in this world,
Let me
right?
ask
And
you
so,
this.
yeah,
Are there happy, stressed out? Are there happy? This don't sound right. I was going to say, are there happy postpartum parents? Are there happy parents who are stressed out with parenting?
absolutely. Absolutely. You can be stressed and love your baby at the same time. You can be stressed and be a happy person. But I would say don't stay stressed, right? If you're chronically stressed day in and day out by everything, then no, I don't believe you're going to be happy. There's a certain amount of stress that's just a normal part of life. And I think with that, a person could be happy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that was going to be one of the questions I asked too. Um, are there parenting classes that teach caring for the emotional well-being of children on an everyday basis, and that and parenting classes that also support mental health for parents?
I'm aware that in just about, I'm sure every state in the United States, there are programs called prevention and early intervention programs that offer classes that parents could take. I have seen a lot of parenting classes online. If you are a person who wants to get educated on parenting, I would read the books by Daniel Siegel.
Mm-hmm.
One of his older books is Parenting, what I'm looking at it right now, Parenting from the Inside Out by
Uh-huh.
Daniel Siegel. I would recommend, I'm looking at my bookshelf, Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child by John Gottman.
Oh, those sound good. Those two sound so good.
I would read those books. I would go to the library and check them out. There are lots of people that offer online parenting classes. I think people could learn more about child development, and that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say that the majority of people I treat specifically for postpartum depression, um, the parenting classes is not going to necessarily address that, but it
Mm-hmm.
is still helpful, right, to learn what to expect, from a baby, from a child of different ages, to
Mm-hmm.
know that when a baby cries, you pick it up and that that's not spoiling it. That's really important for parents to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so those kinds of things would be taught at the different parent education classes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a website called getparentingtips.com. I
Get
think
parenting tips.
getparentingtips.com. I think it's specifically for Texas, which is where I'm licensed. But if people were to Google prevention and early intervention programs in and then put their state, they could find some resources potentially that way.
Yeah. I wonder what hinders parents from going and seeking parenting help. I feel like there are some parents who feel like they should be able to do it, to know how to parent automatically, right?
Mhm.
And some may be experiencing some kind of guilt as to why am I not doing this as well as I ought to? Like what is preventing parents from going and getting the support that they need, or going and learning how
Mhm.
to do a better job as a parent?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think a lot of it is one, you don't know what you don't know, and you're just following the blueprint that your parents
Yeah,
set for you. I mean, if I think about generations and generations back, they didn't have access to gurus and psychologists and those types of things.
yeah.
So maybe for some people that would be foreign to them.
Mm,
I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm always seeking out stuff. I think nowadays maybe we're suffering from the opposite, is there's too much information out there. And so
right.
maybe some people get overwhelmed by that and just put their head in the sand. There's so many different things. So,
Mm,
and people are hurting. People are hurting, they're stressed, they're trying to work all the time. There's so many different barriers, I think.
yeah. The US does not care for families of newborns. The US does not care for families of
Wow.
newborns. When you look at countries like Norway and Sweden, where paid time off for both parents and lots of support services available for all, America is so
Yes.
broken. America is so daggone broken. What do
Hmm.
women get? 6 weeks? Is that what they get?
Yeah.
6 weeks? How is 6 weeks enough?
It's not. It's definitely not. It's barely enough time for your body to heal, right? Let's not even talk about your mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not even start talking about the baby's sleep is probably not even regulated by that time. So so everyone's exhausted and getting up and going to work, and then the baby's going to wherever they go, totally stressed out because they're still trying to get their sleep situated. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a messy, messy cycle. Now, before we continue, let's pause to honor mothers, because I feel like I might have been a little hard, and I don't mean to. It's just I'm asking the hard questions because that's how I'm wired,
It's
right?
important.
And I feel like it's important to call a spade and to confront issues if we want to address and correct them. But let's pause to honor mothers. And I want to ask you, how has your Mother's Day been? How has your Mother's Day been so far? Have you heard from your children so far? You guys in the chat, have you heard from your children so far? Have you heard from your sisters, the key people in your life? Have they reached out to you today? Have you reached out? Have you reached out with a call or a text? Did you receive or send any gifts? Who received any gifts? Who wants to share what gifts they received? Me, I texted people today. I texted the mothers in my life to say hey. And one thing I included in my message is you're a great mom, because I feel like mothers, they need that encouragement. And the response I get from people when I tell them something simple like you're doing a good job or you're a great mom is like, it's like it's like giving them an expensive gift. It makes them
Mhm.
feel so worthy. So I would encourage you to reach out to those moms in your life and just remind them that they're doing a good job. Just encourage them. All right.
Absolutely.
So let's see who got gifts today, who reached out to their people today, who who reached out to you today on Mother's Day. Tori, what about you? Did you get a gift? Did you reach out? Did people reach out to you?
Yes, people reached out to me. I reached out to them. Uh, my kids all gave me nice warm hugs and then went and did their own thing so mommy could be quiet and do this today.
Aw.
Uh, yeah, I talked to my mom on the phone, and let's see what else. My book club sent out a happy Mother's Day message. And a few days ago, I got my Mother's Day gift.
You got a Mother's Day gift a few days ago. What did you get?
I got a bicycle.
You got a bicycle? You got a bicycle for Mother's Day gift? That's so cool. Who gave you a bicycle?
My husband gave me a bicycle. I asked him to get me a bicycle, and so he got me one. And it came with the basket I wanted and a little cute bell. I said I
That
wanted a bouquet of flowers and a baguette in the basket too, but he didn't do all that. But he put it together for me.
is so cool. A bicycle with a bell in the basket. Happy Mother's Day. Let me see. Donna O'Neill said, I called and talked to my mom and I sent her a card by reading it to her in video. See
Oh,
the things you can do these days.
that's
Wow.
cute.
That's so cool. That's so cool. All right. So nobody else wanted to share what's up with your Mother's Day? Now let's see. Let's see what Marilyn says. Marilyn says, I felt very good, happy, uplifting after my son's birth and thereafter. Really? However, I do understand moms have mental issues, especially my era. And there wasn't a name or label for mental health. Yes, that is so true.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
true. That's what you talk about. How you call it? Modern motherhood.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you need to write that book. Modern motherhood. Yeah. Okay. So now if you're at odds with someone in your circle, one of the mothers in your circle, I encourage you also, today is a good day to extend an olive branch to that mother. Not at the expense of your own peace of mind. Please, I want you to mind your peace of mind with everything that's in you. But if you can, reach out, right? It might help you feel better as well as it might help them. Now, um, is stress a normal part of motherhood?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Right. I think stress is a normal part of any huge undertaking, any big commitment, any life transition. Um, Stress is normal and it's not necessarily bad, right? It helps us to be aware of what we're doing so that we can do a good job. But then stress can take a turn, right? It can take a turn, it can take a toll when it goes on too long or puts
Yeah.
people in danger. Yeah.
When it's too much stress, not good. And how do you recognize when you're in trouble or need support?
I mean, I would say so if it lasts a long time, if you feel overwhelmed
What's a
and you
long
can't, well, I mean, I don't like to be stressed, so I would try not to let my stress go on for longer than a week or two.
time?
But I
Uh-huh.
mean, what's normal for some people, maybe it might be different. If you're under constant stress
Mm-hmm.
for more than a week or 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
something needs to change,
Okay.
right? That would be chronic to me. I don't know if there's like an official definition of it, but if you can't cope with your situation, then we need to address that, right? If
Mm-hmm.
it's affecting your ability to function, like work or school,
Mm-hmm.
your relationships, your eating, your sleeping, feeling that in your stomach all the time, that stress needs to go. It
Yeah.
needs to be dealt with somehow.
Yeah. Do you think if women knew about the effects of birth before and after, would they want children? I think more of them would say no. And I think they would be wise to. I'm
I
advocating
think
no
that makes
children.
sense.
Where's Mimi? Mimi, I'm advocating no more children.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. However, I think a lot of what I don't know, a lot of what we experience in the process of becoming parents is transformative. And if you can open yourself up to that, if that's what you choose to open yourself up to, it can be richly rewarding, right? I think most of my clients, I would say, understood that it would be hard. What they're struggling with is not just that motherhood is hard, it's a mental health condition, right? It's not being able to cope, it's feeling hopeless, it's feeling like I shouldn't be feeling this way. So something's wrong with me. I'm a bad mom. I'm a bad person. It's not just stress,
Mm-hmm.
right? When people are struggling in this way, this is something else.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that can be alleviated. If women knew more, well, I mean, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done if I knew exactly what I was getting into. I'll be honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I'm glad I didn't know then some things that I know now, because I might not have chosen to have children if I had known some things. I might not have chosen to adopt if I had known some things that I know now after having adopted my daughter. It's been really hard, but it's been worthwhile, and there's a reason we can't tell the future,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what then are some of the common mental health challenges that mothers face, and how can they recognize when they need help and support? Did we touch on some of that earlier?
We did. We touched on some of that. I
What
mean, I
are-
haven't. Go on.
Name some things that mothers should do if they are beginning to feel um, that overwhelming stress, which is depression, anxiety.
Sure. First, they need to reach out for support to somebody, someone who's going to be empathic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not someone who's going to judge them and say, well, it's your baby, you should have known, or you should have done this, should have done that, or, you should be happy. They need to reach out for empathic support, first and foremost. But one of the other most important things is, are they getting enough sleep?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think women in general are probably not getting enough sleep.
Right.
Um, but moms need to prioritize their sleep. Too many times we tell moms, like, when they have a baby, well, there goes your sleep. You'll never sleep again. And we normalize this idea that moms aren't supposed to
Yeah.
sleep. And
Yeah.
that's, and then the moms think, oh, well, I guess I'm not supposed to worry about getting any sleep. And that's the exact wrong thing, because
Mhm.
lack of sleep could actually leave you at risk for psychosis, right? And for harming yourself or other people. Sleep
Mhm.
is really crucial
Mhm.
for moms. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're saying support, sleep, and then are you eating nutritious food regularly, right? Is someone bringing you meals? Is your community wrapped around you to bring you meals to give you time to sleep? Are you exercising? Are you getting quiet time? Do you know how to relax? And are you being kind to yourself up here?
Mhm.
Those are all the different things that I would be asking about if a mom says that she's struggling.
Are you being kind to yourself? That's something that we struggle with in general. So I can imagine for a mother, it's um, it's even harder to think of caring enough for yourself. First of all, we have a hard time with prioritizing ourselves and putting
Yeah.
ourselves first, right? So I imagine that's a big challenge for mothers too, putting themselves first, taking care of them before even taking care of this helpless child.
Yeah.
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 Um, so yeah, and so one of the things that mothers tend to do is overextend themselves, right?
Hmm.
Overextend themselves,
Absolutely.
busy with this, busy with that, doing all the things, all the things. I know one mother in my life, she does everything herself, everything, and she does not ask for help because she feels like her children are her responsibility. She needs to do it all. She does not even enlist the help of her husband. She wants to do it all. And I see how frazzled she is. Yeah. So
Mhm.
um this thing where I I don't know where they get it that they feel like they need to be superhuman
Sure.
and just do everything all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally a setup for a mental health problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's one of the risk factors, is having this perfectionist superwoman kind of outlook on things, this mindset that says I have to do it all, that's just
Mm-hmm.
setting yourself up for
Mm-hmm.
real trouble now and later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would be curious about her own mother's example in her life. I would be curious about
Whoa. Wow.
I would be curious about what she
Wow.
was taught about what makes her a worthwhile, worthy person. There's a lot of programming that goes into, I think,
Oh,
that kind of behavior, right?
you just touched on something there. Because this was a person that was never, maybe she's overcompensating. I don't
Mm.
know. I'm not no therapist. I don't know. Making up for what she never got as a child.
I mean, it could be, right? If you, yeah, you don't know what to do if your own mother, like, okay, we get our blueprint from our parents, right? So we either follow that or we think, okay, that's not right. I don't know what is right, so I'm going to do the opposite. I mean, we're all trying to just figure it out.
I'm trying to figure it out. Um, Chaffrey Mimi said, you know my stance. I do think more women should decide not to have children if they knew all the potential risks. I know there are some things I heard that made me decide absolutely not. Oh, let's go back a
Well, and
little.
we talk a lot about the risks. We don't talk as much about the rewards. So, you know.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about the rewards in a minute. Um, my gift is texting to all who raise or care for anyone. Yay! Just acknowledging is good enough for me. Plus, I prefer to wait after the small holidays. We're going to the movie next week, which I enjoy. Yay! That's good. Let's see. Because of birth, I am in awe of the human body. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes, Danica. Let me tell you, when she was talking about them C sections and stuff, and just oh my goodness, that's like, mm-mm. Wow. It's really something. You come so close to death, giving birth. You come so. It's such a thin line between giving birth and dying. It's so. It's really awesome. Anyway, things to help mothers' mental health. We talked about prioritizing sleep,
Mhm.
asking for help, um, ask for help with the children, and go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Get you some help and go to sleep, right? Enlist the help of somebody and go to sleep. Take an evening off, right? And go to sleep. You're thinking about the projects that are due, practice is going on, dinner is not made. Drop all that, prioritize your health, go to
Yeah.
sleep. You might be doing them some good to let them fend for themselves for one evening. They won't die, they'll survive, right? Put them to bed early if you need to, and you go to sleep. Get someone to watch them, and you sign off. Let them see you
Mhm.
taking care of yourself. And so I think we're talking about some effective strategies or resources mothers can use to manage stress and maintain their mental well-being. Um,
Yeah. And what do you notice about all those strategies? They're accessible, right? I mean, I think having someone watch your kids, that could be something that's a little less accessible for some people, depending on their support system, if they have money for a babysitter. But getting more sleep, does it cost us any more money to do that, right? Eating costs money. Eating more nutritiously in this country may cost money, but there's still some things you can do there. Getting some movement, some exercise. You don't have to join a gym. You can just go stretch in your living room, right? Having some quiet time costs no money. Journaling, barely any money, right? Learning how to manage your self-talk, relaxing, right? Those things are all very basic. I
mhm,
think when we think of modern motherhood, we think of all the modern problems and the technology and the social media and all that, but the strategies are still very, very simple.
mhm,
They're not complicated at all.
mhm.
They're just the basics.
And a lot of the support that we need are right there on YouTube, right here on YouTube, right? You can learn how to meditate and relax right here on
Absolutely.
YouTube. Hmm.
Mhm. You can
Uh,
learn how to heal right here on your channel,
woo, woo,
right?
woo, pick up yourself. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so I'm going to go through some notes I made, and then you can feel free to comment on them, on any of them. So, not isolating yourself. This could lead to loneliness, right? I think we mentioned loneliness earlier, and not asking for help, both with your responsibilities having to do with the children and with your mental health, not asking, not getting professional help when you need it. Um, yeah. So, yeah, a lot of mothers, I think when they become mothers, they forget their girlfriends. They forget the relationships with their girlfriends. They don't hang out anymore, you know? So you lose yourself. You lose that part of yourself too, of being a friend and having friends by um by solely devoting all your time and attention to your children, and you need that balance. It's healing to go hang out with your girlfriends, right?
Hmm.
um um and I'm thinking of when it comes to like loneliness in motherhood, like if you take your children to the park, there's potential for you to meet other mothers there that you can bond with and strike
Hmm.
up friendships with. Right? When you do children's activities, I think we also need to learn the skill, I guess, of making friends as adults.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of hard for some of us. For whatever reason, it's hard to put yourself out there and invite new people
Sure.
into your life. But you might
Right.
want to take those risks to help your own um, well being. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. When I
yes,
was a young mom,
yes.
I, you know, I built my own community of people that were, I used to wear my baby in a sling wrapped around me. And so I started a nonprofit teaching other people how to do it. As I would learn it, I would teach it. And I've met so many women, hundreds of women that way. Those women became my tribe. And now 20 years later, they're still part of my family,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would join a book club or would go to the park. It was harder to kind of just go up and talk to another mom at the park, but that became easier with practice, right? Sometimes you have to build your own community.
Yeah,
There are online support groups for postpartum depression. I can share that later. You know, you're right. You need that. You need your girlfriends.
yeah. So we kind of have to be intentional about not isolating,
Mhm.
finding ways to not isolate, right?
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, it's natural to want to do that. When you're stressed, you kind of tend to maybe want to turn inward, but that's when we should be looking outside for some support somewhere, healthy
Mm-hmm.
support.
Mm-hmm. How about dates with your partner?
Hmm.
Some of them, some mothers neglect dates with the partner or solo dates. And I'm big on solo dates. Get yourself up, have somebody watch the children, go on a date by yourself. Do it
Yep.
a lot. Do that a lot. Go on solo dates a lot. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. It is so liberating and so affirming and
It is.
so self empowering to go on solo dates.
Yep.
Yeah, do it, do it. Love on you, you know? And don't wait for anyone to love you more than you love yourself. Yeah,
Hmm.
not
Yep.
your child, not your partner. Be the first to love you. Self love is invaluable to stable mental health.
Yeah.
Um, um, what was I going to say about? Oh, some people depend on their children for emotional support.
Yeah,
That is such a mistake. Where did they get that from? You're supposed to be the emotional support for your child, not the other way around.
absolutely. That's an emotionally immature parent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book called Recovering from Emotionally Immature Parents. I would highly recommend that book.
Recovering from what?
Emotionally Immature Parents.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like another good book.
Yeah, and that's another intergenerational cycle of trauma. It didn't start with those people, right? It didn't start with you. It started before you and before them and all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, um, when you're making your schedule for the week, you should take care to schedule some fun times in there, and
Hmm.
schedule your time for your naps and schedule a time for an early evening. We said this before, and maybe we should say it again. Schedule an early evening for yourself and go to sleep. Schedule your walk. Go for
Hmm.
walks. Drink less coffee, right? Drink less coffee so you can fall asleep easier. Take some B complex vitamins to help with those nerves. Get some
Hmm.
B12 shots if you can. Get some sunshine.
Yes.
Get some sunshine. Set some boundaries. Mind your boundaries too. All right. Um,
Hmm.
and don't ignore those signs of stress. Are these things hard to do? Some of them are hard to do, yes. And it's easier said than done, right? True. But your mental health is at stake, and the well being of your child coming up to being a functional adult. And so, yeah, you have to make the effort to do these things. That's why the decision to have children should not be taken lightly. Here we come and go again. This is for those contemplating motherhood, right? If you cannot provide rest and relaxation for yourself as a parent, you might want to rethink having children because, yes, you suffer, but so do your children who become miserable adults. And the cycle goes on and on and on. And we all end up more dysfunctional than, for it. So stop and think about all the demands of motherhood before taking the plunge. So, how can mothers prioritize their mental health while balancing the demands of parenthood and other responsibilities?
I mean, it comes down to prioritizing it, right? Making space for it first
Yeah,
and foremost. I mean, I think we get in this society that we should be prioritizing other things, right?
yeah,
Looking productive, chasing the dream, whatever that
yes,
is, right?
yes.
And really the priorities are, again, those very basic things. What are you eating? Right? What are you watching? What are you putting in your mind?
What are you watching? What are you putting in your mind? Yes,
You
yes.
know, stop scrolling and go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just a matter of prioritizing that. Now, for a lot of people, maybe we're going to start to talk about that programming that they've gotten about being successful adults and what that looks like, and the hustle and the grind and all those types of things. And so we're kind of, those two things are at odds at times.
And I guess we're at a disadvantage the way America is set up too. So we have to be like intentional and work against what we're being programmed to be like,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
when all is said and done, our well-being is our responsibility, no matter what the heck America um, is doing.
Sure. I think, we've lost touch with that wisdom, that ancestral wisdom, I think. And while I totally support whether someone wants to be a parent or not, that's totally your choice. I think if there are people who are making that choice out of fear, that's not the place we want you to be making choices out of, right? Motherhood is not bad, it is not wrong. it is hard and worthwhile and worthy.
Mm,
And if we have access to our ancestral wisdom, I think it would make it that much easier. I mean, it wasn't easy for them either.
mhm,
Um, we have a lot more barriers to motherhood now. And
mhm,
I think those might be the really, really valid reasons that so many more people are choosing not to have children. It's all this external stuff that is going on that's making it hard to be a parent and do well for your kid. You know,
mhm,
it's the trauma in the society and just all of that. There's nothing wrong with raising children. It's
mhm.
hard and people can do it. But when you've
Yeah.
got all of this stuff stacked up on top of you, that's that's making it really, really difficult for a lot of people and making a lot of people realize I can't do it. Right? It costs so much more to raise children now
Mhm,
than it did even 20 years ago when I had my baby.
mhm. You mean financially?
Yes, financially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the externals that I'm saying that are making parenting hard. It's not parenting in and of itself
Mhm,
that is hard. It's
mhm,
it's the external barriers that I think people are coming up against.
mhm. Yeah. Let's see. Marilyn says my two besties, girlfriends, and my mom drove from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Chicago, where we live, to see my son after 2 months old. Wow.
Oh,
And we've been sisters as of today, as of that day. That was 47 years ago.
I love that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Let me see. Um, let me see. Donna said something that H and D was agreeing with. Oh, what autistic children? How do mothers cope with children with these challenges? Oh my gosh, that's a whole other
Hmm.
story.
Hmm. It
I can
is.
I
It
can't even
is.
imagine.
It is. And I would start with support, right? I have some clients that are in that situation, and I'm always trying to point them to support groups. Other moms who are going through it is a great place to start.
Donna says my stepson has an autistic 2-year-old and she is a handful. I can imagine. I
Mhm.
can imagine. That's hard. Let's see now. Recovering from emotionally immature parents, practical tools to establish boundaries and reclaim your emotional autonomy. Book by Lindsay Gibson.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's a lot of books out there that can help.
Mhm.
Um, D from Brown Girls Invest. Hey, D. So good to see you. Joining really late, but I'll catch it again on replay. Yay. Okay. Let's see. Donna says that is a good point. Work against what's programmed. Yeah. Are following the ways of society. Yeah. Because America is set up for us to go crazy, for all of us to be crazy.
Sure.
Um,
But it is optional.
yeah.
We can opt out.
Yeah. So, neglecting mental health as a mom can have significant impacts on children. What are some of the impacts?
Well, I mean, I would say attachment first and foremost. I think when we talked about infants and that important bonding period of time,
Mm-hmm.
um, but also as the child ages, if that goes into neglecting the child's any of their needs, whether it's physical, emotional, academic, that could be something that happens sometimes if a parent is struggling with their own mental health
Yeah.
chronically.
Yeah.
Um, we have children who develop their own depression, anxiety, risky behaviors, you know, all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, um, some would say, well, you made the choice to have children. And children are a blessing. You should be happy 100% of the time. Why you stressed? Women who hear these messages might be reluctant to reach out for help,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How can we reduce the stigma around maternal mental health issues with moms and encourage more open conversations about this topic? By doing just what we're doing here now,
Yeah.
by being
Talking
a
about it.
friend, by being
Yeah.
a friend to mothers.
Sure. I mean, no one can be happy 100% of the time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And to shame a mom for struggling,
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to ensure her silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so many moms die by suicide, so many do. And of course, I know we're talking today about moms. It's Mother's Day, but we know that there's a mental health crisis for everyone in this
Yeah,
country, at least.
yeah,
And so, yes, talking about it, asking how you're doing, and not accepting fine as an
yeah.
answer all the time.
But people are still very resistant to going and getting help for mental health. People are still in denial about their mental health issues and still feel like they are above having mental health issues. Because I'm
Mm,
thinking of one particular person right now, and I've suggested it so many times, go see a therapist, and they just won't. They just won't. And they need it to the point where the mental health issues are showing up in their bodies. They're having actual physical symptoms now, but they
mm,
just don't feel like they need, and it's so obvious that they do,
mhm.
but they
They
won't.
said why?
Hmm?
Have they said why they think that that's not the
No,
path for them?
no.
Hmm.
Because no, they're not. No, because they deny in their conversation, they deny that there is a problem. They don't see it. They can't see it.
Mm,
Yeah. So if we just continue, those of us who have the courage to talk about it, continue
yeah.
to talk about it and continue to support parents, we can help break that stigma. So we talked about this some, but where can moms find support from mental health issues or loneliness, burnout, and isolation? Where are some of the places? We mentioned some books.
Hmm.
Where can they go to
Yeah.
find community to help alleviate some of the burdens of being a mom? I think,
Well, so in community resources, if a person is involved in a church, there's often moms groups at a church. Um, there are moms groups of women who exercise together. There's those types of things. You meet moms anywhere, right? At the gym. Specifically for postpartum depression, there's an organization called Postpartum Support International. Their
mm-hmm,
website is postpartum.net.
mm-hmm,
Um, and they have support groups online almost any day of the week for lots of different populations of parents. Dads too. Dads can have postpartum depression too, and they're more likely to have it if their partner has it. So there are support groups for the dads too. If you experience a pregnancy loss or stillbirth, there's groups for those. If you experience child abuse, there's groups for those. There's a group for every mom.
and you know what, too, I would say, if you can't find a group, start one. If you can't
Hmm.
find a group that to support your thing, start one, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, don't you have some books and courses too that offer support?
The book I have out right now is a journal.
Oh,
Um, and my courses, I don't have my course released right now. It's not available right now, but I do have some different things I'm working on.
okay. And you guys, if you need access to Tori, I have her website, and her email in the description box. You can reach out to her through there. She's a licensed family therapist and a certified perinatal
Hmm.
counselor.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, there are Facebook groups for moms too. And there's one Facebook group. This is a little not quite for mental health, but I mean, if you get to work from home and stay home with your children, that will help your mental health. So there is a mom's group on Facebook called Unbound, and it helps you figure out working from home. So, and starting a home based business so you can be home with your children. Um, and right now, I just kind of want to do a little commercial break, right? Now, for Mental Health Month, I am offering a free 15-minute listening session so you can book to talk about anything. I'm a compassionate, empathetic listener. You can talk to a robot. Yes, you can. You have the option nowadays to talk to a robot about your problems. Yes, you do, but you won't get that feedback. You won't get that human feedback, right? And this is not therapy. This is not like what Tori does, right? This is like peer support. So if you need therapy to fix things, you talk to someone like Tori. But what I do is I let you vent and I hear you out person to person. Listening to you is part of my purpose. I exist on this planet to help you feel seen and heard. I am an intense listener. We can talk about work stress, relationship stress, self esteem, illness, whatever you want to talk about. I just had a session with one person that she said she really didn't have anything to vent about, but she just needed a sounding board for some ideas she was trying to flesh out. So she did that. So, listen, if you have nothing to give your mother as a Mother's Day gift, give her a 15-minute venting session with an empathetic listener. She can vent, she can share, she can celebrate with someone who is gifted to listen to her. Also, our trauma survivors support group meets on Wednesday, May 29th at 7:30 p.m. CST. I want to offer you an opportunity to sign up and join our beautiful supportive community. It's awesome. We meet right on Zoom, and you get the opportunity to be support for others while gaining the same for yourself. You do not have to carry emotional burdens alone. We help carry each other's burden. All right. So now, um, so for the mothers who are struggling with mental health but hesitant to seek help, what do we tell them? Donna says she talks to Chat GPT.
That's funny.
Donna, you don't have to talk to Chat GPT. Book a session with my book a venting session. Chat GPT. Chat GPT. Oh my God. I have a relationship with Chat GPT. Chat GPT too. But she be leaving me high and dry sometimes. I asked Chat GPT, I said, do you know if I'm male or female? Chat GPT said, you have never shared that information. So oh my gosh. Chat GPT, I'll be going back and forth with Chat GPT on my ideas and stuff. And then Chat GPT will just give up and say my idea is better than his, her, whatever. Yes. Oh God. Let's see. Want to positively impact a new mother's mental health? Ask how she's doing before you reach for or ask about the baby. That's a good one. Oh my goodness. That is such a good one.
Yeah.
Ask how she's doing before you reach for or ask about
Mm-hmm.
Nika, you hit gold with that one, girl. Be you before you leave a visit, clean a bathroom, wash dishes, or let her shower or bathe.
Yes. When you visit, bring some food.
Bring some
Ask about
food.
her, right? If you ask to hold the baby, then maybe she can take a nap or a shower then. And then on your way out, make sure you've left a clean bathroom, washed some dishes, put some, laundry in or out, folded it up, all of the above.
That's so good. And that folding of clothes too. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad she said that. Yeah, we should have touched on that. That's what the support looks like. That's what it should look like.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
My goodness. Before you reach for the baby or ask how the mother is doing. Danica, thank you for contributing that. Are
Yes.
you still here? Thank you so much for contributing that point.
Yeah, ask her what she's eaten today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Talk
Yeah.
to her about her.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody wants to hold the baby, but who holds the mom?
Oh, oh, that is so good. That is so good. I feel that in my spirit. I feel that one in my spirit. I really do. Um, mm-mm-mm.
So, and you were saying, what do we say to someone who's hesitant to seek out? And I like the words on the Postpartum Support International website. It says, you're not alone. You are not to blame. Help is available. And with help, you will be well.
You are not alone, and with help, you will be well.
Hmm.
Marilyn said, yes, my grandmother always told us, always offer to help mom. Offer to
Hmm.
help mom. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm, Danica, wow. Ask her how she's doing. Yeah. All right, Tori. So we've come to the end. So I just want to ask you one last question, and that is, what would you personally like to big up yourself for in this season?
Well, how about for showing up here today? I am not used to being the one talking. I'm used to being the one listening. And so
Yes.
I want to big up myself for doing this today.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I love that. We celebrate you for doing that. And I thank you so much for taking time out of your business to come and be with us today and to be like an expert, to offer some expert guidance on this topic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. I think, you reaching out, and you said you don't have children. So I very much appreciate you reaching out to even have this conversation. I think, that's really important. There should not be any kind of wars or tension between women who choose differently, right? Anyway.
Yes, because they call me selfish because I don't want to have some. Yeah. And I say thank you. um, so Marilyn, Child Free with Mimi, Donna, Danica, thank you all so much for being here. Brown Girls Invest Too. Thank you all so much for being here. Uh yes. Donna says, we thank you for coming to discuss this topic. Oh my gosh. I'm seeing more and more child-free women, and why does it make me smile? I just say, well, it's just so brave in today's in the way things are these days. It's brave on both ends. It's brave to be a parent, and it's also brave to choose not to be a parent. Yeah,
Yeah, it's brave to be true to who you are, for sure. Be authentic.
be
It's a
authentic.
brave choice. Hmm.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, my love. Thank you so much. And you guys, here is a therapist, licensed professional family therapist right here. She's available to you. She's taking new clients, and her information is in the description box. Tori Profit, thank you.
Thank
And
you, everyone.
thank you, Marilyn. See you guys next week. We'll have another guest next week. Bye bye.